Welcome to the Alumni Lounge. On today's episode, I've got Johnny Lombardi, and he is a high school media teacher.
Hi, I'm Johnny Lombardi, Lyons Township class of 2012, and I am a digital media and video production high school teacher in Denham Springs, Louisiana. I want to do sports, I want to do announcing. Far away from home, didn't know anyone, no connections to Louisiana. There was no opportunity to do any of that. It's a perfect spot, perfect school, and I'm just super thankful.
Johnny,
Carafa.
how's it going?
It's going really well. Good to see you. I'm
Good.
honored to be on the show.
Good to see you. How was your LT experience, and how did you join LTTV?
So my LT experience was incredible. I feel like even now, over 10 plus years later, I look back really fondly on my experience, my 4 years, especially doing what I do now. I feel like I talk about the experience that I had in high school and how
Mm-hmm.
positive it was in my life very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
But it really was an awesome 4 years that I loved, and it was a lot of fun. So how I got involved in LTTV. So I knew ever since I was a little kid that I wanted to do something sports broadcasting. That was kind of my dream and my goal
Mm-hmm.
growing up. So going into junior high and then into being a freshman at LT, I knew that LTTV was what I wanted to do. And so scheduled LTTV production for first semester freshman year, 10th
Yeah.
hour. And then first day of school, there's me as a scared freshman roaming around South Campus all by myself. 10th hour trying to find LTTV, come to realize that actually that class is at North Campus. You missed the activity bus, and now me thinking that I'm going to be in trouble. But second day, didn't make that mistake. Got on the activity bus over to North Campus and
Mm-hmm.
started in TV production class. And then, as many people know, you can do the class, but you can also do class and the club. So I kind of joined LTTV club along with that. And with the class, you have to do 2 or so club shoots a month. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I think I went
Mm-hmm.
to Mr. Allen pretty early and said, hey, I want to do sports. I want to do announcing. Is there an
Mm-hmm.
opening? And my first game, this is in 2008, was LT versus Hinsdale Central at home. So a big game. So here's me as this tiny freshman coming in, first game, scared out of my mind, but also I just remember knowing like, this is it. Like, this is what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do. Like, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
Alan Mills, John Mustis, they were also on the broadcast with me. They're 2 seniors, so older guys that I'm just looking up to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a huge moment for me. My first game, I'll never forget. And we lost, but it was a great moment for me.
What about announcing do you really like the most? Like when you were in LTTV, like what made you want to announce?
Um, I don't know, just the excitement of it. Of your job is to kind of paint the picture for the people watching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different, between radio and TV announcing because
Yeah.
TV people can obviously see what's happening, but just kind of knowing what I knew growing up and sport and the history of sports and just watching sports as a kid, the broadcaster and the announcer is a huge part of the viewing experience for the fan. Fans are
Mm-hmm.
attached to their broadcasters and their team's guys. And so knowing that kind of, hey, like I'm a part of this game, part of this kind of production, part of this memory was really appealing. And just loving sports and loving to talk about sports. Um, that's just what it
Mm-hmm.
was. And so being able to do that at such a young age and get that experience early on was obviously incredible and something that's very rare. Um, and yeah, was so much fun. Even the preparation, I remember just loving prepping for stats and for
Yeah.
other games going on in the area and talking about talking points on, hey, this player, this team, this, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
was really appealing of just the planning and the behind the scenes that goes into it. And something Tyler Nelson said on his show was I just loved being around the crew. Like some of the most
Yeah.
fun memories in LTTV weren't the games themselves. It just was sitting around the truck before the game,
Yeah.
eating pizza, hanging out, or just talking and that
For
planning
sure.
and getting there 2 hours early and just enjoying the atmosphere as the energy built for the game. Just kind of soaking that in and getting ready to pour that out in the broadcast.
What is a favorite memory that you had at LTTV?
Favorite memory in LTTV. I feel like I could. There's so many answers. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the cliche answer is the whole thing was a great memory. Obviously the Blackout Game, my sophomore
Yeah.
year, is a big one that everyone remembers, and
Mm-hmm.
it's January 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Huge game, huge moments, that was one of the games we were live that night. So a lot of times we would just tape and go broadcast on Tuesday night. Um, that was since it was basketball, it was live, and that was just obviously an incredible moment, something that I'll never forget. And it's kind of funny, like my students found that video, and so they got a huge chuckle out of that too. But that was obviously just from notoriety, one of the most
Yeah.
fun moments. But um, trying to think of other big. Anytime we went on the road, so there are a few times we went on the
Oh
road
yeah,
for
the away
football.
games.
Away games for football were fun. Like
Mhm.
my sophomore year, I think we went to Hinsdale Central,
Oh yeah.
and it was a crazy game. It was like 56-42 LT lost, but it was back and
Mhm.
forth. It was an insane game. Obviously, LT Hinsdale Central anytime is going to be a big deal.
Mhm.
We went to York for Jake Elliott's
Yeah.
second big kick my senior year, so that was a lot of fun.
Do you remember when we went for York for baseball?
Yes,
Remember that?
yes, I do remember that. It was a Saturday. I think it was a doubleheader.
Yeah,
It
something
was
like that.
gloomy. It was
Yeah.
over. That was my last broadcast actually.
Mm.
It's my last ever broadcast because that was my spring of my senior year. But
Mhm.
yeah, anytime we went on the road was really fun just because it was something new. We went to OPRF maybe I think my junior year for football.
Right.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. When you were announcing, we did a lot of like away games. Like that was
mhm,
a big year. Like for LT Sports and for us and
yeah.
like that. That was
But
yeah.
and speaking of going on the road, this just popped in my mind. It was different because it wasn't a broadcast, but going to the state finals for girls volleyball my
Oh
sophomore
yeah.
year and my junior year,
Right.
that was really fun, obviously, because the second time around they won and it was
Mhm.
incredible. But that was a little different because it was more of like a reporter type role than it was a broadcast. So that was a
Mhm.
little different for me in terms of, hey, I'm going to this game to shoot B-roll and like actually cover this
Mhm.
game, not do play by play.
Right.
Which is funny because that's kind of more how my career ended up as more reporting
Mhm.
than announcing. But those were really fun trips getting to go to Illinois State for the state finals for volleyball, getting the credential media. It feels legit.
Yeah.
It felt really fun and really official. And then obviously the second time around, the girls won state, and that was an incredible memory with that team just being so special.
How was it working with Mr. Allen?
Incredible. Mr. Allen truly is, for my money, just one of the most influential people in my life ever. Um, so many kids who have gone through LT and gone through LTTV can say the exact same thing. I mean, even
Mhm.
kids who didn't do LTTV, I know like my cousin who took TV class, kids who, took the class but weren't in the club
Right.
will still talk to me. Hey, Mr. Allen, was awesome. Mr. Allen was awesome, and it's just like, yeah, he was amazing. But it's one thing to get to kind of have him in the class environment. It's a whole other thing for 4 years in the club, and you
Mhm.
build that relationship, and you learn so much, and you get disciplined when you screw up or
Right.
are acting a fool. But then you get that mentorship and that guidance, and even now, I'll reach out to him for advice all through my career when I was in college. I remember my freshman year, first semester of college, I was having a really hard time, far away from home, and it
Mhm.
was hard. And he was a huge influence in like, hey, stick with it. It's gonna be fine. And it obviously was. And so he's the best. He's been had a huge influence on my life and thousands of kids at LT. And so it was awesome working for him because it was serious. Like LTTV is a serious business. Like
Mhm.
we were there to do quality work and to do high end stuff. But he also understands the other side of it, which is this is a high school program. These are high school kids, and this is supposed to be fun and helping us kind of get a love for what we were doing.
Mhm.
I think he plays that balance perfectly. And it's something that I've tried to emulate kind of now being in the position I'm at now is trying to balance that. Hey, we're here to do excellent work, but we're also here to have a lot of fun.
Where did you go to college? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I went to LSU, Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, so
Mhm.
far away from home.
Mhm.
Yeah, part of the Manship School of Mass Communication and Broadcasting there.
Mhm.
It was obviously a huge risk going. I was, far away from home, didn't know anyone, no connections to Louisiana. There was an LTTV kid who, when I was in eighth grade, I think David Bennett,
Oh yeah.
he went to LSU.
Right.
So he was a
Right.
senior when I was in eighth grade, and so that's
Mhm.
how we kind of had the LSU connection. through LTTV. And so from my perspective, it was, LSU has huge sports. I want to go somewhere that I'm going to get to cover big time athletics and all that. Um, the funny thing about it in retrospect, I did so much broadcasting, announcing at LT, right? That was
Yeah.
what I did for 4 years, which going to LSU, there was no opportunity to do any of that. It wasn't what the program was. It wasn't
Mm,
play by play. It wasn't announcing. It
mhm,
was like, TV news reporting, news broadcasting.
mm,
And so it's just kind of funny how it all worked out because I had to suddenly do things that I had never really done at LT in terms of like
right.
understanding how to shoot B-roll, how to shoot really well with the camera, how to edit, which I had done a lot of editing at LT, but in a new sense of making a news package,
Mhm,
anchoring a show on a desk, which we had done a little bit at LT, but not really in like a live news. I'm reading off the prompter type scenario. That was kind of very, few and far between.
mhm,
So it was really more of kind of like a news broadcasting focus at LSU. And I got involved in Tiger TV, which is the broadcast program at LSU,
mhm,
as a sports reporter, and I did that for 3.5 years while I was there. And got to cover LSU football, Tiger Stadium, 100,000 fans, all LSU athletics. Got to anchor our Monday sports show. Eventually, produced our Saturday game day show, anchored
mhm.
our Saturday game day show, and got to be sports director there. I think my senior year. And so it was an awesome experience. I loved it. Once I got
Yeah.
settled in after that first semester, I it was awesome. It was an amazing experience. LSU is big time, and it really was a lot of fun, and kind of took me in a different direction away from that broadcast play by play and into that more news journalism reporting environment.
Mhm. After college, how did you get into what you do now?
So now I'm a high school teacher outside of Baton Rouge. And so after LSU, after college, I
Mhm,
got hired at WAFB TV Channel 9, the CBS affiliate in Baton Rouge. So
mhm,
I interned there when I was in college. I got hired when I graduated. I was a morning news producer and also a sports producer and a reporter there. And so I did that for about 3 years after college, actually. So that was a
wow.
lot of, covering high school sports, covering LSU, and that was an awesome experience.
Mm,
And you're in it. You're in a TV station. You're in journalism, writing scripts, producing the newscasts, going
mhm,
out to practice and everything. And so that was awesome. Really great experience. Decided to leave there. And I tell this to my students now. The industry is hard. We do not have an easy industry. It's very, very demanding. And in any kind of capacity that you do in media, whether you're talking about pay, whether you're talking about time, it's very
yeah.
demanding. Your nights, your holidays, your weekends are all going to be taken up. And I kind of came to a point where I just decided that's just not the route I wanted to go in terms of my entire career. And that was a
Mhm,
really hard decision. But it's just kind of funny how it all worked out through relationships that I had made as a reporter.
mhm,
Um, the principal at a local school outside Baton Rouge, they were starting their STEM center and they wanted to start a media program. And they kind of approached me and said, hey, we're starting this thing up. We would love to offer you the job to teach and to come do that. And at the time I was actually back up here in Chicago where I'd kind of gotten into teaching in a different way. And so it just kind of was a natural jump to I get to be in education and
mhm.
teaching, and going back to Mr. Allen, the impact that he had on my life, thinking of it in those terms of, okay, now I get to reciprocate that and I get to be someone else's Mr. Allen. I get to impact their life positively. I get to help them fall in love with media,
Yeah.
fall in love with broadcasting, whatever it might be. That was hugely appealing to me. Something that was really that I thought, hey, I think I could be good at this. I think I could be a good teacher. And then also on the flip side, getting to do what I love to do, which is sports video, photography, and media, and kind of still do all those things that I love. And so it was a perfect marriage of both of those things, something fresh and new,
Mhm,
and then something that I would get to do the things that I loved and build a program like LTTV from the ground up, somewhere where they had nothing like this ever.
mhm,
And so kind of having the autonomy to build it up the way that kind of I wanted, the vision that I had from LTTV. We do different things, but kind of having that framework and saying, okay, how can I mold this to what works here?
Tell us a little bit about what you did for the Blackout Game.
So which one? Like the
Yeah,
the
the
one? Okay,
Blackout.
so
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so oh my goodness, oh my God. So it's kind of funny now to realize that back then really wasn't the social media world.
Right.
So like I think about if that game happened nowadays, which LT's had some crazy blackout games
Hmm.
recently with weird crazy things happening. But like if that moment happened now, social media going viral, like that wasn't barely even a term
Right.
in 2010, right?
Yeah.
So like you look
Yeah.
on YouTube at that video clip, it has a few thousand views, and to us that was like, oh, like everyone's watching.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that moment was so big, I think, not just personally, because it was what it was, and it became a meme. It became storybook. People making fun of me for 3 years and Sean. Oh my goodness! Like it
Yeah.
became kind of a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's one of those moments. It's just like a typical special high school moment that like any kid who was there at that game will remember. Oh my god, I remember rushing
Yeah.
the floor. I remember being there.
The rebound! It's still us!
Yes! Oh! Oh my goodness! Oh my God! Holy crap! Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
They're rushing the court!
Oh
Lions
my
win!
God!
I'm rushing the court next! Lions win! We are undefeated!
LTHS.
Look at the rebound!
Dan Milan, the steal. 2, 1, bam! And count it.
Keep the
Game's
replay going!
over.
Keep the oh, never mind. Woo!
It was the right thing at the right time in terms of kind of that era.
Yeah.
It was the second year of the blackout. Coach Brower kind of building this new thing of, hey, we're going to do this blackout thing.
Hmm.
Um, and the team being undefeated at that time, Oak Park being really good, the way the game ended, staying undefeated, like the whole thing all together was just, it was the perfect moment at the perfect time. And I think that's almost kind of why it resonates with so many people. It just was really exciting. And just thinking about that game, we talked about, big, big energy at an event. That was an event where like you got there early and you just kind of felt like, man, I need this game to start. Like the energy of the crowd, the anticipation,
Right.
it was all there for that. Um, LT was losing in the second half, down I think like 11 or 14 points at one point,
Yeah.
and came back. Dan Lalonde, scoring as much as he did. Oak Park banks in a random three. I'm trying to think of the sequence of things, but LT claws the lead back, hits some free throws, and then the moment that happens that everyone remembers, and um, it's kind of just a moment like you just almost black out. Like it's happening while it's happening, and you just react and start screaming. And obviously, looking back as an adult, maybe not the most professional call of an ending of a game.
Hmm.
Wouldn't get you many awards. Um, I think that's just it. It was what it was. I mean, we were excited, we were happy. It was a huge moment. Um, and we're going crazy in the booth. The clock you can see like gets knocked askew on the scoreboard because I hit it with my hand. My headset fell off. Sean's yelling. We're going crazy, and it just was. It was the moment of kind of that year and that era, and
Hmm.
it was a lot of fun, and it was looking back, storybook, and just kind of having to wear that for a few years. But it's funny, like I said, like my students got their hands on that video, and so that's been kind of fun to explain to them how that happened, and it's honestly been fantastic. It really has stretched me to understand more about production,
Yeah.
not in terms of maybe like a setup like this or a broadcast, but in terms of like actual, composition and technology and editing and all that stuff, which I had obviously had done all those things before, but it was a new way of me kind of, okay, I need to understand this, but also be able to teach it to a
Right.
kid who has no clue what I'm talking about. Because then that was maybe the biggest learning curve my first year as a teacher, because like this stuff to us like is like breathing. Like we don't have to think about shooting a close up or editing
Mm,
whatever,
right.
it's second nature because we've done it for so long.
Yeah.
Realizing that I have to really like simplify it to explain it to a kid. Hey, this is this shot framing. This is how you edit this. This is how, and
Mm-hmm.
that was a big moment for me of like, okay, I really have to kind of simplify in my brain how to teach this to somebody who has no idea. And so that's where I feel like I've been able to grow, is being able to take kind of what we know and just kind of internalize and be able to explain it, um, to a student. And so that's been great. I think also understanding that things move slow in
Yeah.
terms of you're starting a program from the ground up. It's not going to be LTTV in a year. It's not going to be, um, we don't do live streams. We don't do broadcast production. It's just not what we have the capability for. So our focus is more on video, shooting video for like hype videos or documentaries or
Yeah.
highlights or anything like that. We do photography.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of photographers in my program, and then we'll take those photos for graphic design. So we'll do posters, we'll do graphics for social media. And so in that sense, it's kind of rounded differently in terms of learning those skills. Um, but it's been really great. It's really kind of been a cool 4 years to see it grow and see it
Yeah.
evolve, and kind of temper my expectations of, hey, I wanted to be here in 2 years, but realistically, these things take time to grow and build. And the kids have been fantastic, and they've bought in, the school's bought in, and if you don't have a great administration that buys into, or a district that buys into, hey, we want this to be a thing offered to our students,
Mm-hmm.
it's never going to thrive. And so having that buy-in from the admin,
Yeah.
has been huge. And then the kids have kind of seen the excitement of it, and they've bought in. So we have our film basic and advanced film classes, which are kind of separate from DSTV. DSTV is kind of like the
Okay.
LTTV, but it's the same principle of like you can do the club and do the class. Um, it's kind of a both and. So
Mm.
kids kind of work their way up through those film classes and then get into the main program.
You've really been blessed.
Yeah, I have. It's a perfect spot, perfect school,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm just super thankful. It's been really great.
Sounds
Um,
like you're exactly where you should be.
yeah,
Right?
and I agree. I am. I miss home. I love LT. I love it with all my heart. But I love it there. It's a great school, and we're building great things. So definitely see it as a place where I can be for a long time.
What advice would you give somebody that's looking to get into like the sports broadcasting or just, like anything that you're doing? Like what kind of advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, so I think it's the same advice I give to my students now who are
Mm-hmm.
interested is get as many reps and practice as possible now when you're in high school, especially if you're a kid who's going to LT where you have LTTV and WLTL and
Mm-hmm.
you think, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. You can't, no pun intended, you can't really stand on the sidelines and just kind of watch. Like you
Yeah.
you got to get in and take advantage of that opportunity and that access to work hands on, to film things, to edit,
Right.
to make mistakes, to get better. Um, so that would be my advice to any kid who's looking to get into journalism, broadcast. The industry is so diverse. There's so many different things you can do. Is to get in and start getting practice and hands-on now as a student,
Mm-hmm.
and take it seriously. That's one kind of regret I have looking back on my time, was almost having too much fun at times, and not taking it serious enough of like, hey, this is a craft that for me to be improving and molding as I go, and kind of
Right.
having those benchmarks of I'm trying to get better at this because I want to go on to the next level.
For
I think
sure.
also it's important to not kind of like silo yourself off as, well, I'm just an announcer, or I'm just photography, or I'm
Mm.
just this. I think I kind of did that as well when I was in high school. I'm just the announcer, whereas looking back, I wish I would have done a lot more with camera work, learning a lot more composition, technology, things like that, camera tech, this sort of setup stuff.
Yeah.
Those are things that I think that you want to be as broad as possible in terms of your knowledge and your, what you're able to do. And it doesn't mean you have to know how to do every single thing, but
Mm-hmm.
be able to do everything, edit, shoot. talk on camera, right? Set up, all that stuff is super important. Especially, getting into different industries, whether it's production or broadcasting, you're going to be expected to do a lot of different things. It's usually not going to be just, I just do this.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to kind of do it all.
Yeah.
Right?
hmm
Well, Johnny, thanks for coming on the Alumni Lounge.
It's been awesome, Crawford. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Did you like reminiscing?
Oh, I love it. I feel like we could talk for hours. LTTV memories. We need to have like a roundtable episode
Yes.
someday.
Yes. Well, thanks for watching. See you next time where stories collide and memories reside. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, consider liking and subscribing to the Alumni Lounge, where stories collide and memories reside.